Hello students, welcome back to civics class. I hope you have gone through the previous video that we were discussing regarding the powers and functions of the speaker. So in this video we'll be continuing. The fourth point is the disciplinary powers. So in that, the first one, the speaker maintains order and decorum in the house. If any person in the house doesn't maintain the discipline, behaves unrudely, or if a member or a group of members behaves in disorder, he can adjourn the house. He can suspend a member in case of misconduct in the house. The next one is the decision of the speaker is the final say with regard to the question whether a member stands disqualified under anti-defection law or not. He has to say that if he is against the anti-defection law, so he can only take the decision to remove him from the house. The next one is he has a final say regarding a case. He has the final say with regard to the case that is being discussed in the house, a matter related to a breach of privilege or contempt of the house. The next one is if the words used by a member are indecent or unparliamentary, the speaker may order to be expunged from the proceedings of the house. So what is expunged? It means it has to be removed from the proceedings of the house. So he has to take back the word that he has uttered and he has to proceed the discussions. So these are the disciplinary powers. So the next one, parliamentary committees. The speaker appoints various parliamentary committees and guides them in their work. So all the works cannot be taken by the Council of Ministers. So for each and every unit there is a committee. So we call it as a parliamentary committees. So he will guide them to do the work. The next one, he guides and issues directions to the chairmen of different parliamentary committees in all matters relating to their works and procedures. So he guides them and also issues directions to the chairmen of different parliamentary committees. The next is he is the ex officio chairman of some of the committees of the house, like rules committees, business advisory committees, and so on. And the next power, he presides over a joint sitting of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Very important point. So for 1 marks they can ask question like who presides over the joint sitting of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So it is the speaker. So don't misunderstand. So there are many students who write it as president. President just addresses the joint sitting of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, but it is presided over by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. The next one is he nominates members for parliamentary delegation to various countries in consultation with the chairman of the upper house, that is Rajya Sabha. So what is parliamentary delegation? Parliamentary delegation means foreign visit. So from the legislature, who has to go for the foreign official trip? So that has to be nominated by the speaker with consultation with the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. He presides over the conference of presiding officers of the legislative bodies. So all the legislative bodies of the states, the presiding officers of the legislative bodies, when they come for the conferences, it is presided by the speaker. So these are the powers and functions of the speaker. So each and every main heading is very important for 1 marks because they can ask the questions like state any one important administrative powers of the speaker, one disciplinary powers of the speaker, one miscellaneous powers of the speaker. So for 1 marks there are chances of asking the questions. So you have to go through all the powers and functions of the speaker. Next we'll see the special powers of the Lok Sabha. Okay, what are the special powers or the advantages of the Lok Sabha? Okay, of the two houses of the parliament, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha has the upper hand and has special advantages of its own. Okay, so let's see what are they. The first point, the first power is it controls the exchequer of the state. So that is, the money bill has to be introduced only in the Lok Sabha and not in the Rajya Sabha. Okay, so we have ordinary bills and money bills. Okay, and in that, ordinary bill can originate in either of the houses. Okay, so first they can introduce in the Rajya Sabha and then they can pass on to the Lok Sabha. Okay, or they can introduce in the Lok Sabha and after the discussions they can just pass on to the Rajya Sabha. But in case of money bills, it has to be introduced only in the Lok Sabha. Okay, so Lok Sabha has the power to issue or introduce the money bill. Okay, the next one is it controls the executive. Okay, so executive, that is the council of ministers headed by the prime minister. Okay, so the Lok Sabha actually controls the executive. Okay, so the council of ministers has to be responsible to the Lok Sabha. Why the Lok Sabha has the control over the executive? Because if the Lok Sabha passes a no confidence motion against the council of ministers, they have to resign. Okay, but whereas if the Rajya Sabha passes the no confidence motion against the council of ministers, it doesn't oblige the government to resign. But if the similar vote has to be passed by the Lok Sabha makes it obligatory for the government to resign. Okay, so Lok Sabha has the control over the executive and the council of ministers are answerable to the Lok Sabha. The third one is, in almost all other fields the Lok Sabha has an upper hand. Why? Because of its greater numeral strength. Okay, so we know the strength of the Lok Sabha is 545, whereas the strength of the Rajya Sabha is 245. Okay, so even when there is a joint sitting, okay, even in the joint sitting also, regarding a particular bill, if there is a election, so normally it is the Lok Sabha who is going to win the upper hand. Okay, so that's why we say Lok Sabha gains the upper hand in all the other matters. It is due to the strength. So these are the special powers of the Lok Sabha. The next we'll see the election process for the Rajya Sabha. Okay, so the members of the Rajya Sabha are elected by the legislative assemblies of the state through the system of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote for a period of 6 years. So what is the term of the Rajya Sabha? It is of 6 years. Okay, and 1/3 of the total members of the house will be retiring after every 2 years. The next is Rajya Sabha is also called as a permanent house. Okay, so one of the most important question for 1 marks, why Rajya Sabha is called as a permanent house? Because Rajya Sabha will not be dissolved even during the emergencies. Okay, whereas the Lok Sabha will be dissolved during the emergencies. Okay, when the emergency is declared, the Lok Sabha will be dissolved, but the Rajya Sabha will be in the power. Go through the video carefully. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. So we'll continue our lesson in our next video. Thank you.